ما شاء الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. Once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. No? No Assalamu alaikum? That's fine. Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. Okay, let's see if we are connected here. Tonight we don't have any images to present. We do have text, and that will be the text I will be speaking to you. So we're hoping that we get connection, inshallah. Let's give it a few seconds here. Try this again. I don't know how to control this. So. It's alright, they're on actually. Input level. Okay, while we're trying to get the slides together, inshallah, I just wanted to let everyone know, for those who have been coming, alhamdulillah, they know very well as to what we are doing. And for those of you who are new to this series, I just want to let you know that our goal is to analyze a subject matter which has been forefront from the beginning of the creation. Not when Netflix released a series, but before that. Matter of fact, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, and it is one of the three reasons why we are doing this series. One is Isa alayhi salam, the most controversial figure to exist on our earth today. Number two is Gog and Magog. What are they is the question. The question should be converted to who are they, because we learned in our first three parts of the series that they are human beings and they are descendants of Nuh alayhi salam. The last thing that we are focusing on, and that is of course the Messiah, the Dajjal, the Antichrist, where all the hoo-ha is happening on social media and on chats with Muslims and non-Muslims in reference to this newly released series of episodes that Netflix has launched. I want to just say a few things in reference to it. I do not ask anyone, and I would not recommend anyone to watch it, because there was a tweet that caught our attention a few days back where a naive Muslim sister, and I'll say naive because we have fallen into a hole of deception already. It's like if you talk about Star Wars, everyone was really into R2-D2 and things like that, but now we got a baby Yoda and everyone's like over the hill of baby Yoda. Before he was an old man with a wrinkly face and no one cared about him, but now you make him look cute. The psychology of human beings changes dramatically. Well, in a similar fashion, this so-called series that was depicted of this man who is a Muslim that is playing the character of so-called the Maseeh, the Messiah, is truly deceptive in all forms. And she tweeted, "We people, i.e. Muslims, should give him a chance." And that's exactly what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us from. When Dajjal will come, our people will gravitate towards him. They will feel that he's authentic in his words, in his sayings, in his actions, and they will feel that he is the return of Jesus, peace be upon him, and they will use that as a reason to follow him. There is so much that can be said, and just to summarize a few points in reference to it, let me just point a few things out that I've learned. Number one, we need to remember that Isa alayhi salam, when he will come, the depiction of the cream robe and all these things, when he comes, he will not tell people to assume him to be whatever they assume him to be. He will say, I am Jesus, the son of Mary. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes or no? He's not going to say, well, but you're God. Well, if you think I'm God, I'm God. He's not going to play a game. He's going to be very clear-cut about this issue. Number two, the fact that in this series they depicted a movement of these refugees from Syria towards Israel, and they showed the Sea of Galilee is truly alluding to a very great sign. The Sea of Galilee is something that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us about, and it's used as a sign. If you all remember the hadith in which it states that Gog and Magog will be released, and the last of them will say that there used to be water here. Does anyone remember that? Does anyone remember that? That there used to be water here, because there's this depiction or perception that there's going to be like these animals. They're going to come on, they're going to eat, and when the last of them comes out, they'll be like, wow, we missed all the food. You know, there was 8 slices of pizza, and we got there late, and 8 slices were gone. We just got the box. So basically, that water the Prophet ﷺ is talking about is the Sea of Galilee, and it has a very big sign in reference to Ummah, which we'll be discussing, inshallah, in our series to come. Number 3, Isa alayhi salam will not travel the world to do the work of God. He's not going to come to Texas. He's not going to go Washington, D.C. He will stay in the land that Allah sends him. Isa alayhi salam will descend in Damascus, in Dimashq, and from there he'll go to Palestine, and then from Palestine he will retreat, and then he'll come back to Palestine, and then of course the work of his will continue as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined it. It is only the Dajjal that will travel, and that's why the Prophet Muhammad said, the Dajjal will travel on a donkey. What is that donkey? I will inshallah show you my research once we get to that point, inshallah. Number 5, Isa alayhi salam is coming to do the work of Allah. Yes or no? And Dajjal is coming to do the work of Allah also. Yes or no? Yes. There's a reason why Allah gifted him those powers to do something. His work of Allah means he's a test to humanity. That is why he will do that work. He will test our faith. His mere actions, his presence, his words will be a test to us. Allah has facilitated for him certain powers to do that. And so just keep that in mind. Both of them are going to be doing work. None of their work is outside the realm of Allah. Do you understand my point now? None of them are working outside of the realm of Allah. Dajjal is not superior than Allah. He's not working in a way that Allah is trying to pull him back. No, Allah knows what he's going to do. Allah has given him what he will do with. In a similar fashion, Isa alayhi salam will do the same. The Antichrist will deceive using words of the Quran, and he will have a personal charm, where Isa alayhi salam will not work in this fashion. Number 6, Isa alayhi salam will not come to heal the sick, bring the dead back to life, as the notion amongst the Christians is this. Isa alayhi salam did have powers. They're called miracles. Does everyone know that and believe that? Yes or no? We all know this. We all believe this. We accept it. But those were miracles for that time, for his hands only. What continues amongst the Christian faith and the people who follow it for many denominations is that there's a feeling that the healing power of Isa alayhi salam is inherited by those who lead their flocks. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. You could take the stick of Musa alayhi salam and hit the water. The water's not going to open. That was only for Musa alayhi salam. Does everyone understand this? So the fact that the notion is continuing that the healing powers and the powers to bring back to life and the powers to make life better in the problems that we have, the powers to solve those problems, this is something Dajjal will capitalize on. Isa will not come and do this. Isa Islam will not come and bring the dead back to life. Isa Islam will not come and heal people. He will be a source of healing with His presence and His faith. But the question is, brothers and sisters, what is faith? What is faith? How can I understand the inclination of faith? In a similar fashion, ask yourself, when I'm told to do something, how do I know this is a calling from Allah and not a whisper from shaitan? Or that it's a whisper from shaitan and not a calling from Allah? If you don't know how to read yourself, no one will be able to read it for you. Shaitan could come in your dream and say that he is Allah and tell you that the religion is changed exclusively for you. Will you believe him? Will you believe him? How do you know if it's Allah or shaitan? How can you tell? Well, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, shaitan cannot come in the form of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but he will come in the form of anyone else. Matter of fact, it's written in the spectacles of death that, and this is a long time ago I read this, that when you're dying, shaitan will come in the form of your parents, your siblings, your spouse, and tell you to denounce Islam. You will see him. People will not see him. They'll say, it was wrong, just don't do it. Let it go, let it go. And here you are. What are you going to listen to? You don't have much time. You have only a couple of breaths left. What's going to happen? If we as Muslims, who have all the knowledge, who have all the resources, who have all the solutions, can't even understand how to read them, it truly shows how much we have failed to appreciate what Allah has given us. Another point, inshallah, if not, then we'll be fine without it. Another point is that a verse of the Quran is used to incite violence and terrorism. Brothers and sisters in Islam, in next part, next month, inshallah, you'll learn from our scholars of the Salaf, the past, how when Dajjal comes, there'll be two predominant understandings of Islam on this earth. One of those understandings will be a rebellion to Islam, i.e. the rise of monotheism and atheism and agnosticism, right? Yaqeen released a very interesting piece yesterday that I got, which was, and I'm not saying it was, I'm saying I got because I saw yesterday, maybe it was released before, forgive my ignorance, but a conclusion was made based on a study they conducted that atheism, the roots of it, does anyone know what the roots of our atheism is in our society? Could anyone tell me? Brothers? Sorry, sisters, I can't hear you, so apologize. I apologize for that. But brothers, could someone tell me, where does atheism root itself? Anyone? Anyone? Is it American society? Philosophy? What else? The TV? Social media? Research suggests a correlation between parental behavior and the onset of atheism in their children. Can I say that again? Research suggests a correlation between parental behavior and the onset of atheism in the children. People tend to become atheists at a young age when their religious parents talk the talk but don't walk the walk. I agree with this. I agree with this. I'm not stating it, they're stating it because they did the research behind it. So we have become the venom to our own faith. And so there's going to be this movement of hatred towards Islam that manifests within Islam. You know, number two is the perception that will dominate in society of what Islam is without us having the ability to dictate that. And that is, of course, we're all terrorists. Yes? We're all terrorists. Our kids believe we're terrorists because the media says we're terrorists and the kids at school said they're terrorists. Islam will not have its own voice. because Muslims will have given up that voice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us. Ameen. Can we say Ameen, everyone? Ameen. So, is it working? Is it not working? Maybe. So we're going in, inshallah, into part 4. Again, just to recap, part 1 was we started by looking into the life of Isa alayhi salam. Why? Because the whole of this history and what's to transpire in the future, Isa alayhi salam is like the pivot foot for this. So we're going to learn, and we've been learning about the life of Isa alayhi salam, not just from the Quran, because it's easy to say what's in the Quran. A hafiz, mashallah, can recite those verses. Yes or no, everyone? We're not talking just from the Quran. We're talking from history. We're talking from history. We're talking from the Bible. We're talking from the Old Testament. We're using everything that's accessible to us to present a picture. Is everyone okay with that? So number 1, who is Jesus in the Bible? We looked in, is Jesus God? Part 2 we looked at was God Jesus from the Old Testament. Last month we looked at the timeline of human existence on this earth, and we found out that humans have not been existing on this earth for too long. We're looking at 10 to 15,000 years has been our existence on this earth. And how do we say that claim? Based on the biblical and Torah timeline of how prophets have come and what the timeline is according to those respective faiths. According to Christians, 2,000 years, 2,020 years. According to Islam, it's how many? 1,400 and what, everyone? What year are we in? MashaAllah. Everyone, we're in 1441. 1441 from when? The Hijrah, the migration. That means 1494 years from the birth of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And according to the Jews, 5,780 years. And according to the Jews, they believe that Adam alayhi salam was born 4,000 to 5,000 years before that. We've not been here for too long. And guess what? We're not going to be here for too long either. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, remember this hadith, my coming to this earth and the day of judgment has that much space left. That's all that's left. So 1,400 years later, don't say we haven't moved. We've moved and we're not too far off. But the day of judgment will not come, or the signs, until Isa alayhi salam. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّهُ لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ, that Isa alayhi salam is the sign of the day of judgment. When Isa alayhi salam comes, now the clock for the day of judgment starts ticking down. Does that make sense? NASA, you won't hear them doing 2001, 2000, 1999. They don't do that. They go 10, 9, 8 until 1 and it's takeoff. Everyone with me on this, yes or no? So that 10 starts from when Isa alayhi salam comes. The point is, how will I know Isa alayhi salam? How will I know his face? How will I know his features? So we're going to today study his life features. I want you all to take notes on your person, on your books and your phones, whatever you want to do, about the distinct characteristics of Isa alayhi salam. And we'll talk about it at the end. Is that okay for everyone, inshallah? We need to know a person's life, because Isa alayhi salam is not coming back as a different person or a new robot or an updated Microsoft version. No, he's the same human being. But when we study his life today from the Quran and from the Bible, we will realize very distinct characteristics about him. If you understand a person's characteristics, then you'll understand and recognize them when you see them, inshallah. So, I think we're... Oh, we're in extended mode, I see. If we were to present it, would we present it from here? We can? Oh, Bismillah. Bismillah. MashaAllah. Thank you so much. That took a lot of work there. Bismillah. This is... what just happened? No, not that one. Oh, okay. So, okay, it's right here. There it is. This is going to be part 3, yes? But how come it's... Are you showing part 3? Oh, mashallah. Actually, not close this. Just minimize it if you can. Oh, there it is. Okay, mashallah. That's it. Oh, it's not duplicating stuff, so what do we need to do? Is it working?
No, your resolution here is totally different than the resolution of the TV. So
Let's just do with what we have. Okay, so you know your presentation, you follow your presentation. Yeah, or I could just do it from here. We don't need to use the screen today. We're fine. Do this. But then you can't. You played it, it didn't go. No. Okay, then. We'll just go without it. We're fine. It's a lot of talking too. We need it for next month. We can fix it up. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I can do the extended version. But do you have the presentation? You can cover it from the phone. No. I do, but it's too small for me. Let me phone. We'll just do it from here. It's okay. They can take notes. Everyone can read it. We're fine, everyone. Is that good, inshallah? Let's do this. Bismillah. Sorry about the slides. It's not going to work with the slides. Just go through with it. Bismillah. Okay, everyone. What just happened there? Okay, so upon seeking clarity, okay, let's go back. We talked about, could someone tell me the 5 signs of the Messiah? I need everyone to know the 5 signs of the Messiah. We talked about this last month. What was the 4 signs of the Messiah? Very important, very important. If you don't know the 4 signs of the Messiah, you don't understand how religion is playing out in our world right now. Who wrote the 4 signs of the Messiah last month? Anyone? Why did the Jews not accept Jesus? Why did the Jews not accept Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon Jesus also? Why was it? Because according to their interpretation, this is exactly where I'm going to. That word is called interpretation. The interpretation of them is that Jesus wasn't Jesus and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wasn't their Messiah because according to Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 26 and 28, Isa will come back inshallah and rebuild the entire Aqsa as it was supposed to be. But the Jews hasten to understand this. Another thing is gathering of all Jews back to Israel. Write this thing down. I need you to remember this. The person who's going to be the Messiah according to those who follow the Torah is that, number 1, he has to build a 3rd temple. And that hasn't happened yet. So we're still waiting for him according to them. Number 2 is he will gather all the Jews back to the land of Israel, which is happening as we are talking right here tonight. Number 3, that Messiah will usher in an era of world peace and end hatred and oppression, suffering and disease. According to Isaiah chapter 2 verse 4, it says, nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall man learn war anymore. I love this verse. You know why? Because you can dictate it the way you want to. Man will learn war no more is because there's going to be so many wars that no one will have the energy to fight a war anymore. What's happening in Iraq, in Syria, these places is all part of the biblical prophecy. I'm sorry to say it. It is exactly what it is. There's no justification in Islam for these wars, and there's no justification for ISIS in Islam. There is no roots, no heads, no tails to so-called ISIS. It's all a big sham. It's all about the destabilization and destruction. So of course, world peace will begin when everyone is so tired they can't even lift up a sword, forget a gun or anything else. And number 4, according to them, is the spread of universal knowledge of the God of Israel, which will unite humanity as one. And we know that when Isa alayhi salam comes, all people of belief will follow Isa alayhi salam after seeing that he is the truth. Just keep this in mind, but remember one thing. Who is Isa alayhi salam? Who's the one that you're going to turn to? Who's the one you're going to believe? That's why we're doing all this. So, we talked about the reflection of the Armageddon last month. Now we know about Isa alayhi salam is not God. Does everyone agree with that? Yes or no? Isa alayhi salam is not Allah. We learned that from the Bible itself. We learned from the Torah that Allah is not Him also. Do you all agree with this, yes or no? Sisters, yes or no? Allah is not Jesus because Jesus is not Allah. We learned this from both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Today we're going into His life. His life is not controversial. It's very clear cut. Matter of fact, there's a lot of correlation between the Bible and the Quran when it comes to His life. But it's at the end days of His life and the end portion of His life where there's a lot of controversy. And it's important to know this before you know the job. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Isa alayhi salam in the Quran, yes or no? Everyone knows this? Yes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also talks of Maryam alayhi salam, yes or no? Everyone knows this? But there's one thing people don't talk about. You know, when they say to me, oh, we talked to a Christian colleague, we said, you know, we love Isa alayhi salam. Like, oh, we didn't know that. And we also have a chapter named Mary. Oh, we didn't know that. Brothers and sisters, let's go one step deeper. There's a chapter in the Quran called the Family of Imran. What is it, everyone? Family of Imran. And that's the parents. Imran and Hannah are the parents of Maryam alayhi salam. Why did Allah tell Muslims about Jesus? Because it's important, alayhi salam. Why did Allah tell us about Maryam, alayhi salam? Because it's important. Why did Allah go all the way back and tell us about her parents? Because it's important. It's not a tafsir class. It's important for you to know that she comes from noble roots. And that she was a noble soul. And she became a noble mother. And her child became a noble prophet. Allah is teaching you and I the succession of nobility. Every prophet that was a prophet never worshipped an idol. Did you know that? Prophets may have come from families who were idolaters. But prophets never worshipped an idol. Why? Because there was a need to show purity of self before the purity of the revelation reflected through them. Here Allah is showing you 3 nasls, 3 generations. Imran and Hannah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing you Maryam alayhi salam, then He's showing you Isa alayhi salam. You know their nasl. Who is the father and mother of Dajjal? Anyone know? There is no, DNA testing, or what do you call that? That Ancestry.com for Dajjal. Lineage is not known. Why did Allah not tell us his lineage? Because it is a distinctive factor for Isa ibn Maryam, who will come and speak about him, his mom, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how he's a follower of that. I am this person. And Dajjal, who are you? What's your name? Where do you come from? What's your family? What's your lineage? The Prophet ﷺ, Allah has used multiple ways to open our eyes. And that's why even the Prophet ﷺ, when the final times he talked about Dajjal, he said, I think you don't understand who Dajjal is. He is short. He's got curly hair. He's explaining features. He explains features. He explains characteristics. Why? Because if there's something you understand, it's better than nothing. Get his features, get his character, get something from me. Know that he'll be flying around in different places spreading his so-called message. Where Isa will come from the heavens to the minarets of Damascus Mosque, and people will bring him down, and he will then go on to Sham, and then from Sham to Palestine. Know this, know something. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, not only does he talk about the family of Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the surah on the family of Imran. Allah said, Inna Allah astafa Adama wa Nuha. Allah has chosen Adam and Nuh alayhi salam. Why these 2 prophets? Because Adam is Abul Bashar, the father of humanity. And Nuh alayhi salam because he's Abul Bashar Thani. He's the second father of humanity. Could anyone here tell me why? Why? The world was destroyed. It was wiped out. The flood took the whole world. The whole world. And the fact that Allah told us that Nuh alayhi salam said, I'm going to climb a mountain. Yes, we see that the wave got in between them and he drowned. But the flood of Nuh alayhi salam reached the tops of mountains. Everything was gone. Everything. And that's why that ark held animals in pairs, and whoever was a believer, because humanity had to start again. Okay? Then Allah says the family of Ibrahim Allah chose. Inna Allah astafa Adama wa Nuha wa ala Ibrahim. Why is the family of Ibrahim important? Because from the 2 sons of Ibrahim alayhi salam comes all the faiths that exist in our world today. We call it the Abrahamic faith. Why? Because he was the father of these faiths, the respective faiths. Which faith came from Ismail alayhi salam? Anyone? Islam. What faith came from Ishaq alayhi salam? Judaism and Christianity. Great, we're there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying He selected Adam, we understood, Nuh alayhi salam, we understand, the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam, we understand that, wa ala Imran. And Allah said that put the family of Imran also as the chosen one. What's the correlation here? We understand Adam, Nuh, and Ibrahim's family alayhi salam, wa ala Imran. I selected them ala al-alameen, on the world. Allah is saying, research this family. Know about this family. This family is very important. Muhammad ibn Ishaq states that Imran was the son of Bashim, who was the son of Amun, who was the son of Nisha, who was the son of Husqiya, who was the son of Ihriq ibn Mudham, ibn Azazia, ibn Amisa, ibn Yamish, ibn Ahrihu, ibn Yazim, ibn Yahfashat, ibn Isha, ibn Iyam, ibn Rahban, ibn Dawood. This person, Maryam alayha salam's father, is from the lineage of Dawood alayhi salam. Is everyone with me on this? A long succession of people, he comes from the lineage of Dawood alayhi salam. What is the story in a nutshell? Zakaria alayhi salam's white sister, Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam's white sister. Everyone's with me on this? She had a daughter named Hannah. Hannah was married to Imran. So Hannah is Zakaria alayhi salam's what? Niece. And Zakaria alayhi salam is the uncle, right? So she was married to Imran, the leader of the Israelites. We know that they never had children. They were childless. Whenever she would see a child, she would long for a baby. And she believed that Allah would one day give her that motherly love. So she turned to Allah, and what did she say? She would offer this child in the service of the temple in Jerusalem. And the words that she used was muharrara, free this child, not enslave this child. If you join my holistic class, or if you're part of my holistic class, we did it last month with Surah Imran. We learned that through devotion to faith can you taste true freedom. Why are we not feeling free in our world today? Is because we have distanced ourselves from Allah and the faith. The more you come closer to Islam, the more you will experience true freedom. If you don't believe me, try it. Freedom is found in faith, not in the absence thereof. And so anyway, she prayed to Allah for this. When she became pregnant, her husband Imran passed away. Then Imran did not live to see this child, but she gave birth and she nurtured this child. Allah talks about it in Surah Al-Imran, verse number 36, that she gave birth to this girl and she said, "Oh Allah, I delivered a female, and a male is not like a female. I've named her Mary, and I seek refuge with you, O Allah, from her and her offspring by being touched by shaitan, the outcast." So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected this noble girl of hers. She nurtured the baby, and then after that she went and gave it to her maternal aunt and her nearest relation in the temple. And then we know that the temple then discussed what's happening here. We got this girl, this baby, what are we going to do with it? And so Zakaria alayhi salam became the caretaker. Zakaria alayhi salam was spending time teaching and guiding her, but she was also teaching and guiding him. Yes or no? Whenever he came into that room where she was staying in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, whenever he would go into that room, he would see like foods and fruits and things that were never known to the place or known to the season. You know, she had an amazing Amazon Prime membership, I'm sure, right? Everything was being drone delivered to her. He said, "Anna laki hada. Where are you getting all this from? Where is all this coming from?" Imagine a Muslim today who could say it comes from Allah. Today we ourselves have deceived ourselves. We tell our children we work hard, we make money, we strive, and we feed them. You don't feed anyone. I'm sorry, fathers and mothers. You feed no one. Allah feeds us. Everyone on this earth comes with their rizq. Allah made you a channel, but you're not the channel, or the channel, or the only channel. What was taught in faith was everything is coming from your Allah, and you can get it from Allah. So we know the story. He said, where did this stuff come from? She said, from Allah. هُنَالِكَ دَعَا زَكَرِيَّا رَبَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Zakaria then turned. He said, oh Allah, give me a child also. Yes or no, everyone? Did he have a child? What was the name of the child? And what does Yahya mean? What does Yahya mean? Yahya means life. That Allah gave him a child who was actually a depiction of life. That when you are inspired through someone else's faith, you open the doors of your own miracles. In our terminology, we call that karamat. We don't have mu'jiza. We're not prophets. But we have karamat. And these karamat can happen when you are inspired enough to believe that you are also able to do this. Now what happened was, moving along, fast forward from there, Maryam alayhi salam becomes a big grown woman. And one day, an angel approaches her. And the angel says to her that she's going to have a child. And she said, how could I have a child and no one has touched me? And I'm not an unchaste woman because I haven't got married. That's not the way. Then after the angels told her that this was Allah's decree. Chapter 19, verse 18 to 21 is your reference point. When the angel visit caused Mary alayhi salam great anxiety, this anxiety only grew by the months. She was trying to understand how she can have a baby and deliver a baby when she has no husband. Well, guess what? 2020 wasn't her time. In this time, it's a norm to have a child without a husband, or this is our society norm. That time, that wasn't the society norm. So what happened was, she started feeling the kicking of the child in her. With a heavy heart, she left the temple and went to Nazareth, the city where she was born, and she settled in a small place to avoid the public eye, because everyone knew her to be Mary, the son of Imran, noble man, noble leader of the Israelites, his daughter. He's dead. She's alive. She's a continuation of the family. If she's going to show that child is there in her stomach, people are going to say, what did Imran's daughter do? So she retreated. It is said that she was from noble families and she wanted to keep that lineage. She couldn't keep it for too long. And what happened was, ultimately, she delivered this baby. When this baby was born, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the voice spoke, grieve not, your Lord has placed a rivulet below. Shake the trunk of the tree and ripe dates will fall. فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا. Brothers and sisters, let this verse, let this story of the mother of Isa serve as a reminder to us as we are entering into bitter times. Today we are plagued by our own problems. Tomorrow we are going to be plagued by the world's problems. If you don't address the world problems today, tomorrow you will have no choice but to confront those problems. But if you hold on to faith, even if it's a string of faith, remember the words, فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا. O Maryam alayhi salam, eat, drink, and cool your eyes, be of good cheer. This is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whenever a person sees you, confronts you, asks you about this, فَقُولِي, say, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا. I've made an oath to Allah, I'm not going to talk. A time is coming for us to stop talking, brothers and sisters. We talk too much. Let Allah speak. Today we're trying to talk on behalf of Allah. We're not prophets. Let our actions be the medium through which Allah speaks to His creation. May Allah allow us to understand that. Ameen. It's very deep, that is. She recovered, she recuperated, she wrapped this baby, and she's returning back to the people of Jerusalem. And as soon as people saw this baby in her arms, they're like, they scolded her. What kind of sin did you commit? When people have issues with you and you try to fight off those issues or prove a point, you're only delaying Allah telling the truth. You have to be quiet. There's a reason why Allah said, Inna Allaha ma'as. I hear you all. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Patience is trusting the process of Allah and letting Allah do His work. If she was to say, no, wait, let me explain to you guys. See, there's this amazing thing that happened to me. This angel came to me. It would have not happened what the Quran said. She stayed quiet, and what happened? The baby spoke. What this baby is speaking to all of you, it should be a lesson of understanding who is Isa and who is not Isa alayhi salam, i.e. who is the Maseeh and who is the Messiah. He said, Inni abdullah. When Jesus, peace be upon him, comes, he will not flex his muscles. Rather, he will demonstrate he is a servant and a slave of who, everyone? Allah. He's not going to make you believe that he is God or a power of God. That's what, who's going to do that? Dajjal. Everyone say that? Dajjal. Dajjal is going to do that. And if you think Dajjal is a foreign word, it's not a foreign word anymore. Everyone is talking about the word Dajjal. The Maseeh ad-Dajjal. Dajjal will make you feel that he is God. And people on the earth will see him as God and the prophet of God because the depiction of Jesus in the Christian faith is like he is a God. That's why I say he's the most controversial figure in our world. Not the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not Santa Claus, Isa alayhi salam. The color of his skin, the length of his hair, his age, was he married, what was happening? There's so much within the Christian faith itself and the interpretations of the Bible. There's so much confusion. And so anyways, Inni abdullah, Allah's slave. Atani al-kitab, I've been given a book and I've been made a what? وَجَعَلَنِي Nabiya. He didn't say I've been made the son of God or God. I am a prophet of God. Now, as Isa alayhi salam initially from his get-go in his small little age says, I am a prophet, when Isa alayhi salam, the 33-year-old tall, strong man comes, he's going to say, I'm a follower of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember this. He will say, I have come as a follower of who? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As he says, I was a prophet, now he will come as a follower. He's not going to give you time and he's not going to drag it on for you to think otherwise. وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ. Another interesting sign. Wherever he would be, there will be blessing. And the beauty of Isa alayhi salam is his mere presence in a place will bring global blessings. Where Dajjal will have to travel the globe to spread his so-called blessings. Do you understand this? Dajjal will travel the world. The influence of Dajjal will travel the world. Except for where? Makkah and Medina. Look at this. Isa alayhi salam's mere presence is barakah. وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ. Wherever I am, it's a blessing. And that blessing continues to move. He doesn't have to go market himself to Europe and to Spain and to Africa and to New Zealand. He doesn't have to go. His mere presence will do that. Dajjal is going to be going around the world to bring about the authenticity of who he is. Do you see how the Quran is speaking to us? Do you see how Allah is telling us all the signs for clarity? So when this happens, you're not like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because you might choose the wrong one at that time. وَأَوْصَانِي. I have been wasiyah. Like wasiyah is something that you give as a dying person. A will. Something you want people to inherit. It has been advised to me. It's been enjoined upon me. Salati was zakati ma dumtu hayya. Very interesting point. As long as I will live. Has Isa alayhi salam died? Yes or no, everyone? I don't hear you all. No. Big no. Isa alayhi salam is not dead. He did not die yet. So he's saying, so long I will live, I will do the two fundamental things that our Quran tells us over 70 times to do. Aqimus salah wa atu zakah. I'm going to pray and give charity as long as I'm alive. So if you see Isa alayhi salam and you see Dajjal, wait for Zuhr time, wait for Fajr time, and see who prays and who does not. It is said that when Isa alayhi salam will descend to that mosque, it will be a time of what prayer? Huh? Azhar? Zuhr? Fajr? No one likes praying for Fajr, huh? The hardest prayer. I want you to study this and find out what prayer he's going to come. I'm not going to say it. I want you to do work. This is not a la carte I'm giving you things. And I'm not saying I'm giving you everything in my research that's going to come as factual. I want you to start researching. But it will be a time of a prayer. And the Imam will say, lead. He will say, no. You have been appointed by the people as the Imam. You are their leader. You lead. Look at the respect Isa alayhi salam will give. But the underlying point is he's going to pray behind the Imam. He will not say, I'm the Imam, push the Imam aside, push the Muazzin aside, put out a new rug and say, Allahu Akbar. No, he's going to follow as a muqtadi. Distinct features. Don't let that baby Yoda face take you away from who is Isa alayhi salam. We're so gullible. You can buy a person like this. That's how gullible we've become. If Dajjal comes as this handsome, long-haired guy, everyone's going to run towards him. The Prophet ﷺ said, close your doors. He even said, lock your families in the houses. The fitna is going to be so real. And if you feel you could confront him because your faith is strong, think again and walk the other way. Because when you go towards him, he's going to deceive you. He will just look into your eyes and he will deceive you. And that's why in the khutbah today, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the mindset of the heart. This is what your Islam came to fix. Your L'Oreals and your Chanels and your Sephoras and your For Men, Dove, whatever else could take care of the skin. Your vitamins and supplements could take care of your body. Your schools and your Harvards could take care of your brain. But your Islam is the only thing that can take care of your heart. There's nothing out there that can take care of your heart. Yes. We do have the concept of Imam Mahdi, and we will get to him when we get to him, inshallah. But the Imam will be the Imam of that masjid. Yeah. We're gonna get to them, inshallah. We have 13 parts. This is only part 4, inshallah. But as I was saying, ask yourself, what is out there in the market that actually helps your heart? Could anyone tell me? What's in Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus? What's out there for your heart? Nothing. What are these places for? To build the heart. But we have underestimated these places. May Allah allow us to understand this. Because Isa Islam will not deceive this. He will speak to this, but Dajjal will deceive this. And that's when you're going to be like that sister who tweets, we Muslims should give him a chance. He looks like a nice guy. Rasulullah said he'll have a Jannah and a Jahannam. If he presents it to you, go to his Jahannam. Because his Jahannam is Jannah, his Jannah is Jahannam. It's called deception. Dajjal means deceiver. It comes from Dajjala. So anyways, going back. وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا وبرا بوالدتي. To be kind to my mother, to my family. Why? Because he has a lineage. Dajjal will not have a distinct lineage. Moving on. So Isa Islam performed miracles. He performed many miracles. Yes or no? It is said that Isa Islam performed the miracles that he would say be and it would become. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says be and it becomes. Isa alayhi salam said وَأُبْرِوُ الْأَكْمَهَ وَالْأَبْرَصَ وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Whenever Isa alayhi salam performed a miracle, if he made a bath in the sand, he would then say with Allah's name it to become and it would become. If there was someone blind, it was with Allah's name he healed the blind, the leper, and he raised the dead. With whose name? Allah's name. If he was to do it himself, then there would be this deception or perception that he's doing it. Isa made it clear he's not doing it, Allah's doing it. And Dajjal will bring the light back to the dead, presumably, because he will so-called kill a person and then so-called bring them back to life. And he will say, I give life and I give death. Did Isa ever say that? No. Just remember that. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ رَبِّي وَرَبُّكُمْ is the words of Isa. Your Lord, my Lord is Allah. فَاعْبُدُوا, serve Him. هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. Moving forward. Now this child, and I'm transitioning now from the Quranic, Islamic context and going towards what's in the Bible and what's learned in Christianity. And it all aligns with what we believe. So the Jewish priests now learned, because remember the religion was what? Judaism. And in Judaism, if you don't know, and you should know, the books of the Jews, which is the Torah, is not accessible to every human being. If you don't believe me, go to Barnes & Noble tomorrow. You're not going to find a Torah. You'll find Quran, you'll find the Bible, you'll find Kabbalah, you'll find Baha'i, you'll find Buddhist, you'll find Rumi, but you will not find Torah. Why? Because there has been a trend in the leadership of the Jewish community. And as I said, we don't come here to downplay or talk down any religion. We're just talking about what the history tells us. Nor are we here to incite violence or terrorism or against politics. We're not here to do that stuff. We're here to talk about facts and history. So anyway, what they did was they controlled the word and they knew that a Messiah is going to come. But then this baby coming out of nowhere kind of threw them off guard, basically. I'm going to improvise with my words tonight so that we don't have to go through everything. And what happened was they felt that this child might take authority from us. There's a reason why in Islam there's no monarchy. Does everyone understand this? There is khilafah means what? Don't look in the phrase khilaf right now. It means who is the next best person to lead or serve or... That's it. We're not rulers. We are not dictators. We serve humanity. What is the bloodline between Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Umar ibn Khattab, or Umar bin Khattab and Uthman bin Affan, or Uthman bin Affan and Ali al-Murtada? There's no connection of blood. But it wasn't about blood. The purpose of this was that the person who's best to lead. Power is a dangerous thing. May Allah protect all of us from the test of power and the test of wealth. Say Ameen. And the test of poverty and the test of helplessness. Say Ameen. These are 4 tests that will ruin you. It will bring about the true you that's inside you. And if you haven't fixed that true you, wealth or poverty will derail you from who you think you are. And so will power and the loss of power. And so they didn't want to lose power. And already the first time was this kid is talking in his infancy. Now they could not say that there was a YouTube video playing on a cell phone behind his head under the sheet, because there was none of that. He spoke. And there was no doubt that the baby spoke, because the mother said, I'm not going to speak. And so as he continued to grow up, now they're looking at him, this guy's a problem. As he grew up, the signs of prophethood began to increase. What were those signs? Remember one more thing. Isa was born a prophet. Every other prophet became a prophet at what age? 40. But Isa ibn Maryam was born a prophet. And so the miracles that manifested through Isa was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showing through him. And so what happened was now he's growing up and he's talking and he's got friends and he knows people in the community. He could tell people what kind of food they ate or what kind of food was waiting for them or where something was hidden in their home. So he had those goggles or a drone. He could say he could tell what was happening. And I'm like, how do you know this? Well, it was a sign of his prophethood. It was another sign of his authenticity in the face of those who wanted to hold on to authentic leadership. The rabbis wanted to hold on to that. They said, we are the power, we're the source, we'll tell you, we're going to do it like this. But this guy is coming out with a whole new level of stuff. He talked, he's telling you what you're going to eat when you go home. He's going to tell you what's hidden where in your home and who's in your home. He had this knowledge. Then what happened was when he was 12 years old, he went with his mother to Jerusalem. He went into the temple. So again, one of the points you should be writing is that Isa alayhi salam always addressed his miracles to who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is doing this. We also talked about the many other miracles from that verse about him being a prophet, slave of Allah. We've talked about these things. Moving along, when he went to the temple in Jerusalem, he went and he saw that the rabbis were giving lectures and the audience were all just sitting and listening. They would not speak. The thing about our Islam also is, brothers and sisters, our Quran is open to all. Yes or no? The more you learn your Quran, not just tajweed and qira'ah and hifz or ilm, the more you learn about your Quran, the more you can ask questions and learn. What happened in the Jews with the rabbis was you sit and you listen. This was the culture. Again, we're not putting anyone down. The culture was, we're telling you, you listen and you trust us. Nowadays, don't even trust the Imam. If you give a khutbah, they'll say, Imam, which hadith was that? Which number hadith? And the amazing thing is that they Google it. What is wrong with you people? You can't Google every hadith. Every hadith book isn't on Google. Learn to go open a book and find the hadith for Allah's sake. I was like, well, I looked at IslamQA.com and I can't find that reference. Not every hadith of our Islam is in Bukhari. Just remember that, brothers and sisters. We get so fixated on names and traditions and verification. I think we should also have a cross-referencing website where you could ask Siri, is this hadith authentic or not? Like, what's wrong with us? So the Jewish people never asked. They never dared to ask. And I'm not saying this asking is wrong and they're not asking is right, or vice versa. There has to be respect of the knowledge itself. So please, just because you Google a hadith and can't find it, or just because one of the scholars say that this is maybe da'if, or it's whatever else, does not mean that this hadith in itself is wrong. Isa got up. He put his hand up. The rabbi's like, okay, we've never had this before. He started questioning them. He said, I want to ask you something. Well, you just said this. What about this? Is this true or not? Can you give a source for this? And what happened was the rabbis are now getting more frustrated. You understand the frustration level? Yes or no? Child is speaking. He's telling people what's happening in their home. Then he's now asking the rabbis in the temple questions that they never prepared answers for. So now it's becoming a problem. They tried to silence him, ignore him, but he kept on speaking out. When he grew up and became a man, it was the Sabbath, the day of rest. And according to the interpretation of the Jews, on the Sabbath you can't do anything. You can't light a fire, you can't extinguish a fire. According to many of the Jews say you can't get into a car, pick up a cell phone, or take an elevator. You all know that? This is a reality. It's an interpretation of the Jewish faith. And as the Jewish faith has different levels of how people adhere to religion, the same thing happens in a religion. There are some people who take the word itself and take a hardline approach. Is that our Islam? May Allah guide us to what our Islam is. Because I don't believe that's our Islam, to take a hard approach on everything. Rasulullah said, Inna Deena Yusr. Our deen is easy. So it shouldn't be hard. My Prophet said that. So anyways, what happened was people would not even be able, the girls or the women wouldn't even be able to plait their hair. Musa commanded that Saturday be declared as a day of worship for Allah. However, the spirit of the Sabbath went with time. Just as today the spirit of Jummah is gone with time. Jummah was a day of spirituality, happiness and goodness and family and fun. But today what is Jummah? I'm taking an extra half an hour off my lunch break. Come pray and go back. The inconvenience you're facing because of Jummah, I promise you your kids are not going to take time off for Jummah. I'm not saying take off the day, but know that the day is more than just a prayer and a khutbah. And so what Isa alayhi salam is saying in the Bible, and what the Quran is saying to the Bible and to the Christians and to the Jews in the Torah, is that Isa alayhi salam was sent to reaffirm what Musa alayhi salam brought. He said, I'm here to re-establish the roots and the soul of the word of Musa alayhi salam. And the Quran said that it has come to rectify and resolve the disputes that the Jews and Christians have within their faith and their text. It wasn't the text, it was the interpretations of the text. So anyways, Isa alayhi salam tried to rekindle that. So there was people who were hungry. And what he did was, he took food off a tree and he gave it to them. And the rabbis took the opportunity to spread the word. This guy violated the Shabbat. You're talking being about a person of God. You violated it. You're not supposed to feed. Someone was cold. He lit a fire. Oh, you violated the Saturday. Do you understand? Do you all understand what I'm saying here? Is that Isa alayhi salam went back to the essence. That look, you worship and devote to Allah this day, but that doesn't mean you punish yourself or you punish others. You know the reason why this hurt him a lot? Let me tell you. He went, although the Pharisees were guardians of the law, they were ready to sell it whenever their interests were involved to obtain personal gains. For example, there's a rule which prohibited a journey of more than 1,000 yards on the Shabbat day. What they would do is they would transfer food and drink from their homes 2,000 yards away and erect a temporary house so that they could travel further another 1,000 yards on the day of Shabbat. It's called playing with your religion. If you don't understand it, let me give you a scenario. And I'm not giving the justification for this scenario. And if anyone takes the justification, may Allah hold them for this. There are people who have money in their bank accounts, and it's Ramadan, and this thing called zakat. And many Muslims give zakat in Ramadan. So you know what they do? They do a game. They give this money to their wife 2 days before giving zakat. So the day of zakat, they have no pennies. They have nothing. And they tell the wife, give it back to me now. Do you understand? It's called playing with religion. How many Muslims use Islam to play the game? The game. You think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs your 2.5%? Not at all. But you need it. But when you need it, that means you need to give it. When you hold it, you're only calling upon the wrath of Allah. And that's exactly what they were doing. When Isa alayhi salam went into the temple that day, after being taunted for giving food to a hungry child, or for putting a fire together for an old woman to keep themselves warm in a freezing air, he went into the temple to protest. And in the temple there were sheep, and there were animals, and they were being sold for sacrifice. But only those who had money can come to the temple. Those without money were told to stay outside. Is this religion, everyone? Yes or no? Tell me. Yes or no? Not only would they then sacrifice these animals and burn them, Isa was like, why don't you just feed it to the poor people? If you're going to go and give milk to your gods and food to your gods and it's rotting, why not go feed someone in the name of God? Many of us make a channel even for zakat. We'll give it to this person and then that person will give us work in return because they're grateful for the money we're giving. It's called employment. It's not called zakat. We want to benefit from what we do. That's exactly what they were doing. They wanted to benefit from the money. They didn't care about the meat. He's like, you guys are burning this stuff. Why don't you go feed him? So again, Isa alayhi salam is continuing to get under their skin. Now guess what? One night, Yahya and Zakaria alayhi salam were killed by the ruling authority. There is a reason why Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. Why did Allah have to use two words? Allah could have said they never killed him, right? They never killed Jesus. Is everyone with me? Because the Christians say Jesus was what? Crucified. So Allah should have said, وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ. They never crucified him. But Allah said, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ. Why did Allah say, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ? Because brothers and sisters, the trend in Bani Israel historically, biblically, Quranically has been to kill prophets. They kill prophets all the time. If you don't believe me, read your Surah Yasin. The second page talks about إِذْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمُ Name. We sent two prophets to a village. فَكَذَّبُوهُمَا. The people said, you're liars. فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ. Three prophets going to one tongue. How many? Three. This is one day story. A one day story. They said, we're prophets. No, you're liars. We're not liars. We're here to help you. No, you're not here to help us. And then this guy comes running. وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. A man named Habib Najjar is running from the next town over. He said, guys, don't pick on them. They're just prophets. If you don't want to accept them, just listen to them. اتَّبِعُوا. Follow them if you can. مَنْ لَا يَسْأَلُكُمْ أَجْرًا. They're not asking you for money. وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. They're guided. On that day that Surah Yasin is telling you, they killed 4 people. They killed Habib Najjar. They killed the 3 prophets. So it was a common trend amongst Bani Israel to kill the prophets. But Allah stopped this from happening at the time of who? Isa alayhi salam. That's why He said, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ. From now on, no prophet's going to get killed. And that's why Allah told our Prophet Muhammad that I'm here to protect you. Rasulullah had guards. Allah said, you don't need guards. I'm here for you. Because it will not be possible for anyone after Isa to be killed by the hands of the people. That's why Allah said He was not killed. Because Allah made it haram for them to even kill the prophets. Does that mean Allah made it halal before? No, it was a test for them. Those who killed the prophet will be in hellfire tomorrow. You do what you do today, you reap what you sow tomorrow. But with Isa alayhi salam, they couldn't. So what they did that night, the last prophets that they killed, was Yahya and Zakaria alayhim as-salam. May Allah have mercy on the grace. Qulu ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless these 2 noble prophets and allow us to be with them tomorrow on the Day of Judgment. Ameen. We want to be with all the prophets. We want to stand with the prophets and with all the prophets. If you think this is a fantasy, brothers and sisters, the Prophet said, this world is a deception. Tomorrow is the reality. You are sleeping right now. Tomorrow when your soul leaves your body, you will see the true world. And so on that night, Allah sent revelation to Isa alayhi salam, telling him, now it's your turn. What does that mean? Rasulullah was made a prophet, yes or no? But then when he was starting his message work was after a little while. Same way, Isa was born a prophet. Now Allah is saying it's time for you to step up. The 2 prophets are dead. Now it's your turn to take the responsibility of propagating the message. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Isa alayhi salam to Bani Israel and he started doing the message. They did the same thing. They came, they denounced him. He said, I'm here to reinforce the law of Musa alayhi salam. He wanted people to get away from the luxury of worshipping gold and stuff and telling him to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He faced the same test every other prophet faced. You all know that, yes or no? Every prophet faces ridicule, humiliation, and people challenge them for their authenticity. But Isa continued inviting the people to Allah. His call was based on the principle that there is no mediation between the Creator and His creatures. But of course, we know what happened after. People made Him into a mediator, as He's the Son of God. He came to explain the 10 commandments have more value than they imagined. For example, the 5th commandment says not only is it prohibited to physically kill someone, but it's also prohibited to kill someone psychologically and spiritually. So the Jews took the word don't kill mean don't kill someone. But I can mentally kill you. I can spiritually kill you, because the Quran doesn't say that. He said, no, that's not what God meant. God meant do not inflict permanent harm on anyone in any way. He was expanding the word. The 6th command says not to commit adultery, meaning it's an unlawful physical contact between man and woman. But it also prohibits all forms of relations or acts that lead to adultery. That's exactly what our Quran is telling us. Adultery isn't just an act between two people. Adultery can be anything that leads up to it. Adultery of the eyes, adultery of the ears, adultery of the mind. These are the things. So what happened was the people were trying to challenge Isa alayhi salam to see if there was any way that this person who is now claiming to be the prophet can be caught off guard and proven that he wasn't a prophet. Jesus told them that caring for this world is a sin not fit for pious worshippers. The disbelievers cared for it because they do not know a better way. As for the believers, they knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they wanted to care about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isa continued to invite people towards worshipping the one Lord without any partner. And we learned this already from the Old Testament. Inviting them to purify their heart and their soul. But his teachings continued to annoy the priests, the rabbis. The Romans, now this is where it gets a bit interesting. The Romans are watching this. Who are the Romans, everyone? Could someone tell me who are the Romans? Huh? But who were the Romans to the Jews? They were the leaders and the occupiers, basically. The only way I can say it is the way Israel occupies Palestine right now and controls the Palestinians is the way the Romans were occupying the Jews. They restricted their movement, they vetted them, they watched them, they controlled them. So the Jews were living miserable lives because the Romans were perpetrating great injustices upon them. But the Romans didn't want to get involved in this because this was a religious thing. So they're having fun. They're having fun watching that there's this guy and these people, and they're having it all. They're having a fight. They're just like, okay, let's watch it. Get the popcorn, get the Pepsi, right? Because this is gonna be a good show. So they're having a good time watching it. They never got involved because it didn't pertain to them. However, the priests are now plotting against Jesus. They wanted to embarrass him and prove that he came not to uphold the Mosaic law, but he came to destroy the Mosaic law. So there's that famous story the Christians will tell you and you should know also. It is said that in the Mosaic law, an adulteress should be stoned to death. Could everyone remember this? In the Mosaic law, a person who commits adultery is what? Stoned to death. When the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina, the law of the land which was formulated from the Jews that followed the Torah was what? Was what? Stoned to death. The Quran doesn't talk about stoning. There's no stoning in the Quran. If the Taliban are stoning someone in Afghanistan, that is not Islam because the Quran never talked about stoning. It's a Jewish law that the Prophet ﷺ respected when he migrated to Medina, and as they were followers of the law, and then the law eventually evolved to what Islamic law was, it was upheld as the law of the land. You understand this? 4 women were stoned to death under the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. Why? Because that was the law of the land, not the law of the Quran. So what happens here? This woman commits adultery. They say to Jesus, peace be upon him, does not the law stipulate that stoning of adulteress? He said, yes. They said, this woman committed adultery. What are they trying to do? Jesus is saying, I'm here to restore the word of Musa alayhi salam. And they're like, you may be doing it, but you're destroying our power. And they knew it. So now they wanted to put forth a scenario where they would see Isa alayhi salam's compassion, because he was compassionate, yes or no? He's giving fire to old women shaking on the day of worship. He's giving a hungry child a fruit from a tree to eat. They said this guy's compassion is going to derail him in his judgment. So they said to him, doesn't the law stipulate? He said, yes. So now he's thinking. He looked at the woman, he looked at the priest, and he knew that they were more sinful than she was. Why didn't Isa stone her? Because the law is there has to be people testifying on her adultery. Yes or no? They were not testifying, they were accusing. She committed adultery. He didn't go through the process of verification. He didn't say bring the 4 witnesses. But he knew that they're more bigger sinners than she was. So he said, they agreed that she should be killed according to the Mosaic law. And they understood that if he's going to apply the Mosaic law, he would also be destroying his own rules of mercy and forgiveness. Are you all with me? This is exactly, he wanted to show it. And they knew he wouldn't destroy his mercy. But then, at this moment, he'll be destroying the law. So, Isa Islam, Allah helped him, inspired him, he understood their plan. He smiled and he said, and this is very famous amongst the Christians, whomsoever amongst you is sinless, cast the first stone. We'll stone her. We'll stone her. That's the law, yes or no? But from you, whoever doesn't have any sin, they throw the first stone. And what happened was, they couldn't, because they all knew they were sinners. And so his voice rose in the middle of the temple, making a new law on adultery for the sinless to judge sin. And the Christian faith, it's like, how dare you judge someone for their sins when you forget you have sins of your own? There's a difference between what Mufti Wasim said a few days ago about telling people about their sins, and you shouldn't step back from calling someone out for their sins, even though you may be a committer of that sin. There's a difference between that and what's being said here. Is that for us to forget, and this is the problem in the Muslim Ummah today, we all think we're perfect, and then we could see the imperfections of others. It's a true fact. You see the twig in the eye of your brother, but you forget the log that's stuck in your own eye. So there's nothing wrong with saying, brother, don't hit someone's car or hurt someone, even though you may have done that before yourself. But to call someone out for their wrong and make yourself assume that you are perfect is wrong. And that's exactly what he did. You want to judge on people's sins, you better be sinless first. Now guess what this did? It only exacerbated the hatred of Isa a.s. in the eyes of the rabbis, all while the love of Isa a.s. capitalized in the hearts of the people. It's now become a power struggle. As Isa a.s. left the temple, the woman followed him. She took out a bottle of perfume from her garments, knelt before his feet and washed them with perfume and tears, and then dried his feet with her hair. Isa a.s. turned to the woman and told her to stand up, saying, Allah forgive her sins. He let the priest understand that those who call upon Allah will get from Allah. Allah will execute. You are not the executioners of Allah's law on this earth. So is Isa now in the good book of the rabbi or the bad book? Even the very bad books of the rabbis. They're like, we're going to do something here. So as he continues his mission, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed him to do more powerful miracles. So basically what happened was a friend of his named Azam, an old woman's son, and an old woman's only daughter, these three people, he brought them back to life. How many people did Jesus bring back to life in his lifetime? 3. Now, when the Jews saw this, because remember, we're amplifying his power and authenticity. Now he's bringing people back to life. Who was it? His friend Azam, an old woman's son, and a woman's only daughter. 3 people he brought back to life. So the Jews said, these people didn't die. They were sleeping. You just woke them up. Okay? You just woke them up. They weren't dead. So they said to him the challenge, you only resurrect those who have died recently or they're sleeping, perhaps because they've only fainted. They said, if you are true, and this to me is a sign that I'm researching right now, they said, bring back to life Sam, the son of Nuh. Remember lineages going back to the sons of Nuh alayhi salam. There's a correlation with what's happening in our world and the lineage of the people of Nuh alayhi salam, the sons. So what happened was they said, go bring him back to life. Why didn't they say Nuh alayhi salam? Why not Ham or Yafis? Why Sam? Anyways, they took him, they showed him the grave, and they said, Jesus is done for now. He can't bring this person back to life. This person died decades ago, centuries ago. He's going to bring him back to life? So Isa alayhi did what? Brothers and sisters, another very important point. Isa alayhi salam never did and never will say, I will bring back to life. He made dua to Allah to bring back life. And behold, Sam bin Nuh came out of the grave with gray hair. Now remember one thing. I've said this in a khutbah before and I'll just quickly say it now. There were blessings on humanity that were by default. And when the people disrespected those blessings, humanity lost those blessings. Are you all with me on this? Musa alayhi salam's people had food from heaven, yes. But after that, Allah never sent down food from heaven except for the tablecloth of Isa alayhi salam. That was because it was asked. But this was a default gift given to them. It's not going to happen again. And so what happened was, aging was not in that time. Having gray hair was not in that time. People remained fresh. Maybe it was Aveeno. We don't know what they used. There was some type of cream they were using. They looked fresh and young. And maybe they had that, what is that, the hair stuff they put on, the dye. There's one brother, may Allah forgive me for this, I always say to him in our masjid, mashallah, he's in his 70s, he has jet black hair. And I'm like, Uncle G, that bathroom shoe polish is working good. Man, that thing keeps it shining, So that's our discussion. He knows that. That's how I used to talk with him. We love each other. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep that love with us. So, subhanAllah, he came out with gray hair. And Isa said, how did you get gray hair? When there was no aging in your time. He said, O Ruhullah, I thought the day of resurrection came. Out of the fear of it, my hair turned gray. This is powerful. Moving forward, I want to finish tonight, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about Isa alayhi salam doing this. Remember my favors to you and your mother when I supported you with Ruh al-Qudus, Jibreel. You spoke to the people in the cradle and maturity. You taught writing, hikmah, the Torah and the Gospel. You made out of clay as if it was a figure of a bird, and by my permission you breathed into it and it became a bird by my permission. You healed those born blind, the lepers by, everyone say it, my permission. Can everyone say that? My permission. And when you brought forth the dead by my permission. And when I restrained the children of Israel from you, when they resolved to kill you. And we talked about that. Since you came unto them with clear proofs. and the disbelievers. They are the kuffar, the ones who see the signs of God and the miracles of God and the Prophet of God, and they reject and they threat. They're the kafirs. They said this is only magic. Allah says in the Quran these verses, reminding you and I, if we read the Quran or we do the tarjumah of the Quran or the tafsir of the Quran, Isa alayhi salam never did it himself. Who did it, everyone? Allah did it. So Isa alayhi salam continued to call towards this law, and he believed that the poor, the wretched, the downtrodden people, those who were small in number, were the people of Allah. Brothers and sisters, let me say one thing. We can live in affluent communities and have affluent friends, which is mashallah good. But Allah said to us through the words of the Prophet ﷺ, we are sustained and assisted by Allah because of our weak and the poor. You know what's different between those times and this time? When someone gets married in these times, we call those people who could put some money in an envelope and put it in the box. In those times, they called everyone because the purpose was dua. And there's a dua of a poor person that will make you something. Allah, فَإِنَّمَا تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ. The Prophet said, you are sustained and helped because of your weak. Today, we have shunned people who we consider weak or poor from our masjid, from our circles, from our gatherings, from our homes, from our festivals, from our festivities, from our occasions, and even from our funerals. Do you know what we're calling on ourselves? We are calling the wrath of Allah upon ourselves. I remember when I was in India and a call was made from the minaret that, the speakers, that there's a walima, everyone come to the masjid. It wasn't like, do we know you? Are you from the bride side or the groom side? No, come and eat. Give dua. Muslim, non-Muslim, Hindu, Christian, visitor, local, come and eat. Give dua. Every prophet was supported by their weak. Yes or no? Rasulullah went to the leaders of Quraysh. Yes or no? Tell me. He went to the leaders of Taif. He thought, and this was a good strategy on his part, if the leaders will listen, the people will listen. If the people listen, my job will be made easy. Why? He had to take this message to the world. How could he take it to the world? He needs some momentum here. So he's looking, but in the 13 years, 70 odd people, and majority of them were poor, were weak, and people who didn't care. But guess what they brought with them? They brought the help of Allah. They brought the rizq of Allah. They brought the nusra of Allah. So brothers and sisters, take this point. Jesus is not going to come back, peace be upon him, and go to the hierarchies. He is going to go and the poor will follow them. So remember, just because something is trending doesn't make it right. And just because something is foreign doesn't make it wrong. The Prophet Muhammad said, Islam began foreign, and Islam will return to being something foreign. As time progresses, Islam's authenticity will be practiced by a few, not by the masses. So don't look where the numbers are huge. Look where the direction feels in your heart right. And don't judge who those people are. Follow it because the truth lies within them and with them, not because of a people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed that these poor people were with them. And then of course the miracle of the descendant of this tablecloth. It was related that Jesus commanded his disciples, when they asked him, give us food from heaven. They were poor people. He said, fast for 30 days. At the end of it, he will ask Allah for the food. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the tablecloth between two clouds, one above, one below. And the people saw this. And Isa said, oh Allah, make it a mercy, not a distress. When the food was sent down, Isa went into sajda. They sensed a fragrance which they never smelled before. This is the fragrance of Jannah. And he said, the one who is the most devout and the most righteous may uncover the tablecloth so he may eat and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, oh Isa, you uncover the cloth because you are the most deserving. He stood up, he performed wudu, he prayed, then he uncovered. And behold, it was roasted fish. Does anyone know the first meal we're going to eat in paradise with Allah, inshallah? What's that first meal? Long John Silver's. No, joking. It's going to be fish. But not Long John Silver's. I'm not a fan of them. It's going to be fish. It was the same type like fish that Allah sent down from the heavens. Allah will feed us all. Say, inshallah. You should be happy about this. This is going to happen. You can laugh at it right now. Tomorrow you'll be sitting there and inshallah we'll be together. And I'll inshallah say to you, I told you so. Because it's going to happen. We're going to be together. Allah is going to bring everyone together. And Allah will feed everyone fish in a very specific part of the fish. And so at that time, see now the brothers are making the menu. Aapko mirch wala chahiye, aapko masala wala chahiye, kya chahiye? Aap batao. Curry fish, you want fried fish, you want Cajun fish. We'll go to Louisiana for that one. So anyways, what happened was, they ate the fish and they then thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is said thousands of people partook. And yet it never exhausted it. A further miracle was that the blind and lepers were cured by eating it. This is again the top miracle that kind of is destabilizing the rabbis in them. So now, let's get to the key here because this is where the story begins and we have just a few more slides and thank you for your patience. Talking, telling what's in your home, performing these miracles, bringing life back to the dead, bringing Sam, the son of Nuh, back from the dead, bringing food from heaven. The rabbis are falling. They're falling big time. So the Sanhedrin, who are the highest judicial council of the Jews, they got together. They're like, we failed to stop Jesus, now we have to kill him. You understand? Remember what the Quraysh said. We were talking about this Muhammad. Now his people have ran to Medina. What do we have to do? Kill him. There was the plot. They wanted to kill the Prophet ﷺ. They sent bounty hunters out. That's when the whole story happens. That Muhammad ﷺ leaves the house. They didn't see him. They go to the cave. From the cave they go up. They go zigzag so they don't go from the real path. Long story short, they said we have to kill him. The chief priests held secret meetings to agree what's the best way of getting rid of Isa ﷺ. While they're in this meeting, this is the interesting part to me. Isa had 12 apostles, yes? The Sahaba, his close Sahabas, right? And amongst the 12 was one name you should write down and remember. His name is Judas. What is his name, everyone? Judas Iscariot. He said, what will you give me if I deliver Jesus to you? He knew what was going on. So he went to the secret meeting of the Jewish council of the rabbis and he said, look, I'll bring him to you. I'll give him to you. What do you give me? So they bargained until they said 30 pieces of shekels, 30 silver coins, which is 30 shekels, would be given to you if you get Jesus for us. Make sense? Now, why did Judas want this? Because he had leverage. He had access to Jesus, peace be upon him. I'll give him to you. I'll get the money. We're good to go. It is said that the high priest of the Jews tore his garment at the meeting, claiming that Jesus had denied Judaism. The tearing of clothing is a sign of disgust. I think Luka Doncic the other day, he ripped his jersey. He was frustrated. Ripped it. Like, Superman's coming right now. No, you just, it's frustration. That's frustration, but this is a sign of disgust when you rip your clothing. But there was one problem. Does anyone know what the one problem was? The Jews are not ruling in society with their law. Whose law is dominant? The Romans. You can't kill a person because you don't have authority to kill a person. So they're like, how can we now kill? So we'll get Jesus. Yeah, that makes sense. We made this deal. We're getting Jesus, but guess what? We can't kill him. What are we going to do with him? So then they made a plot to convince the Roman governor that Jesus is plotting against the Roman Empire. Now you see where it's getting fun? Now it's getting interesting. Because the Romans were watching this play out. They're like, these guys are fighting, we're good. Now you get told, the governor gets told that, Jesus, he's trying to destabilize and destroy the Roman monarchy and the Roman kingdom. Oh, this is a problem now. So then the Romans ordered that Jesus should be arrested. So the Jews made the deal, we'll get him to you. Now, we're going to the Bible. According to the book of Matthew, Isa was arrested and the council of the high priests, the Jews, passed the death sentence upon him. And then they began to insult him. They spat on his face and they started kicking him. It was a Roman custom for those who were condemned to be flogged before they were executed. The name of the Roman governor was Pilate. Pilate, who was the Roman governor, ordered that Jesus be flogged. According to the Mosaic law, if anyone's being publicly punished, only 40 lashes. How many, everyone? 40 is the maximum. You can't lash someone more than 40. But the Romans had no limit. They just kept on beating him and lashing him and hitting him and kicking him. And then they handed Jesus over to the soldiers for crucifixion. They actually took off his clothes. They put a crown of thorns on his head, which is a mockery. And they killed two thieves alongside with him. They made him, of course, carry his cross. They went to a place called Golgotha, which means a place of skulls. It's outside the wall of Jerusalem. And instead of giving him a cup of wine to ease the suffering, they gave him a cup of vinegar diluted with gall, and then they, of course, killed him with two thieves next to him, basically showing that he was a lowlife. This is according to the book of Matthew. Now we're going to talk about where the story, it changes. We as Muslims, brothers and sisters, I am sorry to tell you there are scholars in Islam who say Jesus was killed. There are scholars and belief people in Islam who feel that Jesus will not come back. There are people out there who are advocating through their social media channels that Dajjal is not real. We are living in confusion within our own people. Our Islam says that whatever the Gospel say, the Quran says that He did not permit for the people of Israel to what? Kill Him. And not only did they not kill Him, but their theory is they crucified Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because of their saying in both, Inna qatalna al-Maseeh Isa ibn Maryam Rasulullah. We killed Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ. They did not kill Him. وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ. They didn't crucify Him. وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. The resemblance of Jesus was put over another man. وَإِنَّ الَّذِينَ اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ لَفِي شَكٍّ مِّنْهُ. The people who bring out these theories, they have doubts amongst themselves. Remember, if the story isn't true, the false has many different narratives. Does that make sense? Now one will say it happened like this, one will say it happened like that, but Allah is saying in the Quran, Jesus didn't die, He wasn't crucified, someone else was put in His place. Should I give you a hint? I've told you His name already. And I've told you to write His name down. We'll find out next month, inshallah. This is the momentum of how it happened. And we'll find out not from the Quran, we'll find out from the Bible itself, inshallah. I'll take your questions 1 second. So what happens, Allah says, they have no certain knowledge. They follow nothing but conjecture. For surely they killed Him not, but Allah raised Him up to the heavens. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran clearly states, Isa did the miracles with whose permission? And the people who tried to kill Isa did not kill Isa. They did not crucify Isa. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will raise him up and He will cleanse them from those who disbelieve. And I will make those who follow you superior to those who disbelieve. When Isa comes back, Christianity is the largest religion in numbers right now. Yes or no? They will all have a choice. Just as all Muslims will have a choice to accept Him or not. He's going to accept the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, so it shouldn't be a problem for the Ummah to accept him as one of theirs. But that's where the twist comes. There's a guy named Dajjal. Which one are you going to accept? Which one are your children going to accept? If this is something far-fetched for you, know that the Prophet ﷺ said, every prophet warned their people of Dajjal. And our Prophet ﷺ warned us about Dajjal. It shouldn't have taken a series on Netflix for us to gain interest in this subject. Our Qur'an's foundation is about Gog and Magog in my research. And we'll come up with that inshallah very soon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, as He throws down these thoughts and perceptions, He also throws down the concept of Trinity. O people of the Scripture, do not exceed the limits in your religion, nor say of Allah that but the truth. Verily the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, was a messenger of Allah and His word. Al-Qaha, which Allah bestowed on Maryam alayhi salam, wa ruhum min, and a spirit created from Him. So believe in Allah and His messengers. وَلَا تَقُولُوا ثَلَاثَةً. Stop saying Trinity. The Quran isn't a message for the Arabs or certain people. The Quran is the message to all of humanity. Do you all agree, yes or no? And the Quran is the same author that was the author of the Bible, yes or no? So Allah is addressing all people. He's not putting down. And thus you and I should never put down someone for their religion. Allah said it with so much honor. Ya Ahlal Kitab, O people of the Scripture, you are my people. You are the people I sent the word to, and you acknowledge my word. So I am telling you through this word also that you do not acknowledge yet. That is a continuation of the word that you did acknowledge and accept. Stop saying Trinity. The concept of Trinity came about within the 500 years between Isa alayhi salam and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If one religion could be changed so swiftly within 5 centuries, think of how our Islam is being twisted in 1400 years. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also threw down the concept of Trinity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also closed the door in Surah Tawbah about Isa being the son of Allah. Is Isa the son of Allah? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Isa is another messenger of Allah. Allah does not need a son. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything belongs to Him. Yes or no? So basically, what were the notes that you were able to take about the distinct characteristics of Isa? Number 1, He's a slave of God. Number 2, He will always worship God. Number 3, He will do everything only with the permission of Allah. Number 4, He will not call people to Himself, rather He will call people back to Allah. Number 5, He told people to go back to the ways of Musa in the Old Testament. When He comes back, He will tell people to go back to the word of Allah in the Holy Quran, in the way of Rasulullah. These are some of the many distinctive characteristics I'm hoping you must have plucked from this discussion tonight. This hour and 45 minutes, I'm hoping you plucked these things. Why? It may not make a lot of sense right now, but tomorrow, if we're to see Him, which is a high possibility, if not us, then our children will see Him. Let them know and let yourself know who He is. Let us not be fixated on external features. Let the external features deceive us from the internal motives. Even our religion today, if someone has a beard, oh, they're super religious. If someone has no beard, they're a bad person. This is external features. These are sunan-e-huda. We'll talk about it later time. But see how we say religion? If someone says the person's pious, there's a picture we've created of someone pious. Someone who wears a long garb, who holds a long stick, who walks with a big turban. Oh, this person's pious. How do you know this? External features do not depict what's the internal motive. Dajjal's not going to come like a gangster. He's not going to come rapping and hip-hopping. He's going to come exactly as it is being depicted, reciting the Quran, saying Allah, doing these things. See how desensitized we are? A Muslim actor stands on the Golden Globe Awards and says, Allahu Akbar, and we're so happy. Allah's name was said in the Golden Globe. Dajjal is going to say Allah's name also. Does that make it authentic? Does that make it religious? Does that make it pure? Brothers and sisters, wake up. Stop fixating on the shell of an egg. Look what kind of egg it is inside. Isa alayhi salam is more internal than he is external. His external will emit that which is internal, but you have to recognize that. So at the end of it all, we are done tonight. Alhamdulillah, we've explored the life of Isa alayhi salam. Next month, inshallah, we'll talk about his death/ascension. What happened? We're not going to go straight into it. We're going to really slowly peel this onion in 3 parts. His death and ascension, why? The wrong crime for the wrong person, and the crucifixion or the crucifixion. These are 3 presentations, inshallah, for February, March, and April before Ramadan. That inshallah, we will understand, bi'ithnillah, what happened at that time. And how Isa alayhi salam in the Bible is exactly the Isa alayhi salam in the Quran, despite the fact that the Bible was compromised over time. Remember the first session we had? Bible was in Aramaic, translated in 15 years into Greek, from Greek into Latin. The Latin translations were so many they had to pick one from all of them. And then many years after that Latin version served as the official translation in English, 1856 I believe, or 1656, I forgot the time, forgive me, of the English Bible. And even that time 17 books were taken out from the Bible. Despite all of that, the Bible still has within it the picture of who the true Isa is. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all of us in our community, our family, our children from the Dajjal and the fitna of Dajjal. Say Ameen. The Prophet ﷺ told us to make this dua after every prayer. In every prayer before you give salam, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabi jahannam, wa min adhabi al-qabr, wa min fitnati al-mahya wal-mamat, wa min sharri fitnati al-masih al-dajjal. If you and I can't understand this right now, there's something wrong. Every prayer should not end except with that dua. So we ask Allah tonight to also continue to protect us from the fitna of Dajjal and from the being of Dajjal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our shortcomings and our lack of desire and attention towards our religion. Allow us to nourish our souls with the light of the Quran, and nourish our eyes with the light of Allah, and our ears with the light of Allah, and our thought processes with the light of Allah, so that we can see things for what they are through the lens of Allah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. I think we'll end with that, inshallah. I'll take your questions. Is it? And again, meaning a apostle, like I'm saying Sahabi to give that metaphorical. So Sahabi is someone who studied with the prophets. Yeah, go ahead. So you're talking about the story of Ifk. You're talking about the slander against our mother, Aisha radiallahu anha. You can equate the two. They're 2 different scenarios. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that scenario told Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu in the Holy Quran to forgive and move on. And one of the key persons who spread that rumor about Aisha radiallahu anha was one of her own relatives, someone who was dependent on the financial support of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. His name was Mistah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا. Let it go. Don't you want Allah to forgive you? So it's a different story. But this is important to understand because we'll understand who did die and how we prove that that person was the one died, not Isa alayhi salam. And where did Isa alayhi salam go for those 3 days, and where did he go after that? It's all going to come, inshallah. So jazakumullah khairan to all of you for your time. Inshallah, tomorrow morning after Fajr, we have our Fajr program. And inshallah, we have that followed by a Fajr breakfast. So please, inshallah, if you can, do attend. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Accept us and allow us to continue coming back to the masjid over and over again. Ameen. Sure. Hawari are the apostles. Apostles means like the Sahabas. It's his close companions. The people like he trusted and he gelled with and they were together with him. Because of their relationship to him? Do you think Allah should have used the word Sahabas? Very good observation on your part that we don't use Hawari, we use Sahaba. But of course, it was showing that how Isa had a core group of people that he could work with and he could trust. فلما أحس عيسى منهم الكفر قال من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about them in many ways when even he felt that they were not really there. He said, are you going to help me for Allah? They said, yes, we're your helpers for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, it's a relationship, it's a metaphor. We may not use it, but it does not mean that it's not as authentic as saying a sahabi or something. Inshallah. Thank you. This is a long one. Thank you so much.